47 police officers were shot and killed last year. That's a 40% drop over 2022. It is much safer now to be a cop in the United States, but it's much less safe to deal with one. That's according to The Nation magazine. 2023 was the most homicidal year on record for American police. The Nation, working off the nonprofit organization called Mapping Police Violence, the Nation says police killed 1,232 Americans last year. 26% of those killed were black, even though black people comprise 14% of the American population. The Nation said that black Americans are 2.6 times more likely to get killed by police than white Americans. Native Americans are 2.2 times more likely to be killed by cops than white Americans. Asian Americans are the only group less likely than white Americans to be killed by the police. So my advice, be a Chinese cop. According to The Nation, of the 1,232 Americans killed by cops, only 2% of the police officers involved in the killings faced charges. Not convictions, charges. 2% were investigated and charged. Texas Governor Greg Abbott appeared on Dana Loesch's podcast yesterday, saying he was doing everything he can to stop the migrants from crossing over the border into Texas. He said, the only thing I haven't done is order my cops to shoot them. Then adding, if I did, Biden would take me to court over that too. Amazing. He said, I would order my cops to shoot them, to shoot the migrants, but I can't because Biden would take me to court over that too. The dehumanization of the migrants, you get to a certain point where you talk about shooting them. Abbott made the remarks during an interview with Dana Loesch, who was one of the hosts of NRA TV before it closed down due to financial difficulties, or should we say financial irregularities. Anybody remember NRA TV, the National Rifle Association, had its own little TV channel? But it turns out that little TV channel was allegedly a money laundering operation for the head of the NRA, Wayne LaPierre. This is where it gets really good. New York State's trial against the National Rifle Association began on Monday. Wayne LaPierre, who headed the NRA for nearly 3 decades, stepped down a week ago, citing health reasons. He, along with 2 other high-level NRA executives, are charged with stealing as much as $45 million from the organization. Sarah Rogers is the National Rifle Association's attorney. She said in her opening statement that the NRA shouldn't be on trial because the NRA is the victim in all this. Sarah Rogers, the NRA's attorney, said it was the NRA executives who worked with an ad agency and a travel agent to conspire to steal money from the NRA. Why are you putting the NRA on trial for their malfeasance? Well, besides the NRA, one of the defendants in this trial is Wayne LaPierre, who was charged with defrauding the NRA, the guy in charge of the NRA up until last Friday. That's why the NRA is on trial. Right before the trial started, the face of the NRA resigned. That's why the NRA is on trial. Wayne LaPierre, along with the NRA, is charged with defrauding the NRA by secreting money to an ad agency and a travel agent. It's not that complicated. It's kind of stupid what he did. New York State Attorney General Letitia James originally sought to have the NRA dissolved, but was told by a judge that financial irregularities are not grounds for the corporate death penalty. She is now asking that Wayne LaPierre be ordered to pay back everything he stole. P. Kent Correll, Wayne LaPierre's attorney, in his opening statement insisted that LaPierre served the NRA honorably and needed those $500,000 trips to Lake Como and those $40,000 shopping sprees in Beverly Hills to promote the rights of gun owners. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but that's kind of what he said. He said Wayne LaPierre was the face of the NRA, so he should be entitled to go on shopping sprees on Rodeo Drive and buy clothing, $50,000 shopping sprees, buy clothing for him and his wife. LaPierre is accused of making the NRA pay $11 million for airfare, despite the NRA's rule that all executives fly coach. He racked up $11 million in airfare charges. LaPierre's lawyers say he needed to fly private because of all the death threats that were leveled against him. Turns out LaPierre is a coward. See, he was terrified. It's all coming out now. He was terrified of getting shot by an angry anti-gun nut. Well, if you're against guns, Wayne, you're not going to shoot anybody. But he was afraid he was going to get shot. And apparently he didn't think a gun would protect him. He needed private jets, private yachts. The rest of us, when we feel threatened, get a gun. It's the best way to keep you safe. But when Wayne LaPierre feels threatened, it's a private jet. Has to be a private jet that flies him to a secluded yacht. I'm not making this up. Whenever there was like a mass shooting, LaPierre would hightail it out of America and hide on a private yacht. This is true. I thought guns kept you safe, Wayne. Really? You're afraid that somebody's going to hurt you, so you just leave the country? I thought a gun keeps you safe. LaPierre is expected to testify, as is Colonel Oliver North, who a few years ago tried to get LaPierre fired for his financial mismanagement of the National Rifle Association. That's how you know someone's a crook, when Colonel Oliver North doesn't trust you. Meanwhile, ProPublica has gotten its hands on a recording of the National Rifle Association's then treasurer working with Wayne LaPierre to funnel millions and millions of questionable expenses by putting all his shopping sprees and first-class travel on an American Express card that had been assigned to the public relations firm of Ackerman McQueen. This is what Oliver North discovered when he tried to take over the NRA. LaPierre allegedly set up a system where the NRA would pay millions and millions of dollars to Ackerman McQueen, this PR firm, and then they would, create these money laundering operations like NRA TV with Dana Loesch. But the NRA TV thing, it was just a shell corporation. The NRA gave money, allegedly, to Ackerman McQueen, the PR firm, and they would produce crap like NRA TV, but they would overcharge the NRA for all this stuff. And then Wayne would pay them to produce these horrible television shows for NRA TV. Meanwhile, he's charging his travel, his vacations, his clothing on that PR company's American Express card, and they pay it off because he's shoveling NRA money to NRA TV, to Ackerman McQueen, to the public relations company. I'll be following this. I'll be following this every step of the way. Wayne LaPierre, what is he, 74? He had to step down, he said last week, for health reasons. Right. 50,000 Americans die each year from gunshots because of this guy. Because of this guy.
It's time right now for the David Feldman Show. To get your ears on right, buckle in real tight. He's got a lot to say and he's coming your way.